We're gonna make it look fly with some DIY. We're gonna make it look fly with some DIY. We're gonna make it look fly with some DIY. Uh-oh, thrift diving.
Hey, what's up? It's Serena Pia from thriftdiving.com, which is a podcast, a blog, and a YouTube channel that helps you decorate, improve, and maintain your home with paint, power tools, and thrift stores without sacrificing your budget, the environment, or style. Sometimes the intro comes out, sometimes it doesn't. Anyway, welcome to episode 79 of the Thrift Diving Podcast. And this is an episode that I have tried to re-record actually a few times just now. And it just got to the point where I said, you know what, if I make a mistake, regardless, we're going to keep going with it because I feel like I want to be able to get my message across to you and how I've been feeling lately with being stuck. And I feel like this is something that most of you listening to this, you're probably pretty happy in your life, just like me, but there's this anxiety that comes from feeling like you've got all these things to do and you feel overwhelmed and you don't feel like you're making progress on any of them. So how do we move ourselves forward? How do we get unstuck? And I did do an episode recently, episode 68, I believe, called How to Plan Out Your DIY Projects from Start to Finish. That link is down below in the show notes. And I think that it's a helpful podcast episode because it will help you to plan out that project that you've been wanting to do, that DIY project. But even though I know what to do, sometimes it's getting the motivation to even get to that point. And I don't mean motivation like people who are suffering from clinical depression or sadness. That's a completely different thing. And I feel for those people because I can't even imagine how it would feel to not be able to get up out of bed or to have those moments where you're just not engaged with anything. You just can't. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you have so many things on your plate that you don't even know where to focus. And what happens is that you've got all these ideas running around in your mind of things that you should be doing, things that you could be doing, things that you want to focus on, but you feel like, okay, now's not the time to focus on that. I've got more important things to focus on. All of these things create this dissonance in your mind that you're not doing what you're supposed to do. It makes you feel stressed out. It makes you not be able to get motivated to do any of them because all of them are, well, they're important, but you don't know how to organize yourself. And so in order to deal with that, you end up doing nothing. That's kind of what's been happening to me over the summer. This has been, and I'm not even going to say just the summer, I would say even before the summer, I just have been feeling not motivated to get things done. And there's a stress there. There's a stress of, okay, here's what I want to work on versus the stress of here's what I have to work on. And you've only got so many resources. You have so many hours in the day, right? You have so many responsibilities. If you've got children, if you've got a husband, if you've got a wife, all of these people in your life and these things in your life, they take up your time. And so you don't have time to devote to multiple projects. We talked about that in episode 2. If you go back to episode 2, I had interviewed a gentleman by the name of Charlie Gilkey. I loved this guy's book. I mean, such a great book. He says, and you can listen to it in the interview, that we shouldn't have any more than 3 to 5 projects, right? And I thought that that was sort of a guideline that I could operate by where I'm able to focus on just 3 to 5 things and forget about everything else. But lately, even just focusing on 3 to 5 things, it's been very difficult. I've not been wanting to focus on any of those. Well, maybe one. If you follow me on Facebook, you'll know, on my personal Facebook, you'll know that I'm very much into working out, lifting weights. I do have a goal of trying to do my first pull-up, which I'm just not there yet, but I'm making progress. So I do have some things that I'm focused on, but when it comes to DIY projects, when it comes to even just taking care of some of the I'm going to say administrative things that are not even thrift diving things, just personal things. Like, for example, I've never even applied for graduation. I was in a carpentry program for, I think it took me about 3 years in the community college here in my county. And I'm pretty sure that I've finished all the coursework, but it's just lingering over my head. All I have to do is apply for graduation, and I've not done it. And I don't know why I haven't done it. So I've got a list of all these things that I've been meaning to do, and I just have no motivation to do them. I've got flooring, probably about 25 containers of flooring that I bought for the she shed. And, if you've been following the shed, you'll know that the mini split is 9 or 10 weeks overdue. I mean, it's just been insane. I've been using this little portable unit and it's been kind of working, but then when the late afternoon sun comes in, it totally warms up the entire place. So it's like not even having the portable AC unit on. It just doesn't work. I've got 4 skylights, so all that sun just comes right in, just and warms up the entire shed. So before the mini split, or I should say, once the mini split was to come, that's when I wanted to do the flooring. And then when I realized, wait a minute, it's going to take kind of a long time to get this mini split installed. It's been 9 to 10 weeks now, and it's just not here. So I've got to go and get the portable unit. I've got to go buy the flooring. Let's just move things along. I don't want this to take any longer than it has to. If you remember, I bought my she shed, I think it was mid-September. Yeah, it was like mid-September, early October. And here it is almost a year later, and I'm still not in my shed the way I would want to, with office space, with being able to record my videos for my Power Tools 101 course. That's where I wanted to do all my recording. So I feel like I've just not been able to move forward. And even though I went to the store and bought 25 units of flooring, I haven't felt like moving forward. So not only do I have all of these external things happening to prevent me from moving forward for the most part, but when I've come up with solutions so that I can move forward, I don't feel like it. And really the whole summer, even before the summer, I just started feeling less and less desire to do DIY projects. I felt less and less desire to handle personal projects. The only thing that I was really sticking with was my working out, going to the gym, doing my 5-mile runs in the morning, which I love, building muscle. And that's what I'm sticking to. And I'm making sure that I'm doing that 3 to 5, or well, I should say 5 times a week during the week for running. And then lifting weights, I want to say maybe 2-3 times a week. So I stick with that. But I've not been able to focus on my work, on doing my DIY projects, on personal things, like even paying taxes. I thankfully did get my 2021 taxes filed away, thanks to my CPA, but I'm kind of behind on paying my 2022 taxes. So I need to get all of that squared away. And all of these things were just open loops in my mind of things, oh shoot, I need to do that. Well, I don't really have a good plan of when I'm going to get it done. I'll worry about it later. So I'm wondering, do you suffer from that too? And again, let's make a clear distinction here. This is not talking about people who suffer from depression or maybe anxiety. I'm not depressed. I'm not going through any of that. It's just, I feel like I don't have a good game plan for what needs to happen when and how much time I have to devote to it, or what should be done first, second, and third. And so I started doing nothing. I would get some things done here and there, but I would just sort of lollygag and not get anything done. So do you go through that too? Are you feeling a little stuck? Well, because I was feeling this way, I decided, Serena, let's go back to some of these productivity books that you purchased. I love Audible. This is not sponsored by them in any way. I'm just mentioning them. I love Audible. I have a monthly subscription. So every month I'm getting a credit. And I think I've got like 3 credits, 3 credits sitting there waiting for me to download some things. And one of the productivity books that I purchased a while ago that I never listened to, again, all the things that I feel like I should have been listening to, I purchased it and put it on my someday list. And that creates anxiety, right? Because you've purchased all these audiobooks, but you don't have any time, or you don't make any time to listen to them. Well, last week I decided I'm going to listen to one book, one productivity book, and I'm going to take notes. and I'm going to use the framework to try to make a plan for moving forward, to help get me unstuck, to get me motivated and get all of these things out of my head, these things that I feel like I have to do, but I've not made a plan for how I'm going to do them or when I'm going to do them. So the book that I'm reading or I'm listening to on Audible, it's called Getting Things Done, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity by David Allen. Let me tell you, the first time that I downloaded this book, or not the first time, but when I first tried to listen to it, the first time that I did, when I downloaded it, it was very complex. It seemed like it was complex, only because at that time I was trying to multitask, right? So I was working at my desk, trying to listen to this productivity book, or even showering, which I love to listen to audiobooks and podcasts while I'm showering. And this is the book that you actually need to sit down and take notes. And that's what I did. So I actually I started when I was out on a walk. One day I was out on a walk and I said, I'm listening to this productivity book. Let me pull out my phone and I'm going to start just jotting some things down, some important things, to make sure that I don't miss the key points of what he's talking about. And there was something that he said that just resonated so much in my life. He said, what you have to do, and it doesn't matter if you're taking a spreadsheet or a notebook or, some other kind of system that's going to work for you. But he said, you have to take all of these open loops. That's what he calls them, open loops, these things that just keep repeating in your mind of things that you have to get done. And you have to put them on a master to-do list. I don't even know if he calls it a master to-do list. Maybe it's like a master task list, but it's a master list. Don't worry about trying to organize it into subcategories or anything like that. Literally get it all out of your head. And that's what I did. So I opened up a Google, not a Google Doc, but a Google spreadsheet. And on my list, I'm looking at it right now, I've got 84 things. 84 things that were swirling around in my mind, telling me that I had to do all of these things. I had to get them done. Just didn't know when, but these were things that were bothering me. They were causing stress in my life. And because they were just sitting there in my mind as open loops going around and around, it created this stress and it really prevented me from moving forward on any of them. So a lot of times during my day, I would go for my morning run, come home, work on my puzzle, because I got to get my daily jigsaw puzzle going on, and eat my oatmeal in the morning, but I wouldn't have a plan for what I'm going to do that day. Now, there were some things that were maybe a little, I would say a little important because I knew some things had deadlines, right? So those things would be given priority. Usually it was a brand sponsored thing, but for the most part, some of these other projects, like my Power Tools 101 course, these are things that I want to work on, but I had not made a plan for how I was going to move forward on them. And it was just that little thing in the back of my mind that would just bother me. Hey, you gotta work on that course. People are waiting. You've got 150 people, actually 130 people on that list who've signed up that said they're interested, Serena. You've got to work on that. And I just didn't. I didn't because I didn't know how to move forward. Things like, and I know this is kind of simple, but a knitting project. Remember in a recent podcast, I told you I want to get back into knitting, making myself feel guilty because I picked up my phone to check Facebook, or maybe I'm having a conversation with someone via instant messenger and I'm feeling a little guilty because, I'm kind of wasting my time here. I should have been knitting a project. All the things that we are not doing that we feel we should do, they create this stress, this anxiety, and this weighs on us all day and every day. I don't know about you, but it really makes me feel like I'm stuck, like I can't move forward because I have so many things that I could do and should do and would do, but something else takes priority and it just creates this stress. So this book suggested to find the mode of documentation that's going to work for you. Of course, me, it's like I said, it's a Google spreadsheet, and list all of those things. Don't worry about putting it in any particular order. Don't worry about subcategories right now. And that's what I did. And let me tell you how much better I felt. just getting it out of my head. But he takes it one step further and he says, okay, now that you've got your project list, right? These are all the projects that you want to get done. The next column should be, what is your intended outcome? And then the next column should be, what is the next action that you need to take in order to get that project moving in the right direction? And I'm mind blown here. I am so mind blown because as I created that list, and I took an entire day. It took me about half a day to come up with the list and to create the intended outcome for each of those items, and then the next action to take. So I'll give you some examples here. So one of the things that I've been wanting to do is to hang skylight blinds in my shed. I told you my shed is so hot in the summer, which I later learned is because, well, not just because of the skylights, but I've got such good insulation in there. When it heats up, it holds that heat in. It doesn't go anywhere. And so part of what I'm doing is I'm hanging up skylight blinds in order to keep out, well, they're light filtering, so it's not going to block the sun, but it's going to filter it so that it just gives it a little bit of protection, but still keeps it nice and bright and beautiful in my shed, which is what I want. So that's what I put on my list. Now, I can tell you that it had been at least a week and a half since I'd ordered those blinds. Well, no, actually, it took them a little bit longer to send them to me. I ordered them from blinds.com and they arrived about a week and a half ago and they were just sitting there by the front door. Again, overwhelmed. I don't feel like doing this project. I don't feel like putting these blinds up. I know I need to do it, but do I feel like it? No, because I don't know how to do it. I don't feel like researching how to do it. And it's hot in the shed. I don't feel like doing this project, but I put it on my list. So hang skylight blinds was underneath the projects list. And then in the next column, the intended outcome is to keep the she shed cool in the hottest sun. And I can even take that one step further and say, what the intended outcome is to keep my shed cool so that I can actually use it, so that I can actually sit out there and check my emails in the morning or in the afternoon when it gets the hottest. So I could take that one step further, but what is the intended outcome? That's the intended outcome, to keep it cool so that I can use the space. And what was the next action to take? Well, I listed here that the next action to take was to actually take the blinds, it was 2 boxes, to the she shed and read the instructions. Just unpack them. You don't even have to have a timeline of when they need to be installed. You just have to unpack them. And can I tell you that just by putting that on this list with that next action right there, clear for me to see, the very next day, what did I do? I actually took the blinds to the shed and I opened the box. And because I finished that step, I was motivated to put the blind up. I mean, it took me a little while because I didn't really know what I was doing and the instructions were not that great, but it took me a little bit of time, but I got one installed and it looked fantastic. And the very next day when I woke up and went to the shed and went out there, I guess maybe like around 12 or 1, I should say, not in the morning because it's the afternoon when the sun just beams into those skylights. It was so amazing to see the difference between the windows that had no shades or blinds and the ones that actually had, well, I guess it's a shade. I'm going to use the word blind and shade interchangeably. Doesn't matter. But it was so beautiful. There was light coming through, but it was soft. And when I actually did a little test, I went onto the ladder into each of the skylights. So the one that had the shade, it wasn't even hot. The one that didn't have the skylight shade, the minute you climbed up into the ladder, you could feel that heat just beaming down on you, like just surrounding you. And you could tell the difference. So having this spreadsheet here with all of these 84 things gave me the motivation that I needed to start taking action, because some of the actions were so minuscule that I was like, why haven't I done that? Another good example, and I haven't done it yet, but one of the things I want to do is create a basement home gym. And now that I'm going to be over in the she shed, my office is going to be there. I have more space, or I will have more space down here in the basement where I still am. It's cool down here. I will have more space here so that I can bring in more workout equipment and maybe even a treadmill or an elliptical trainer. Well, several months ago, and it has been several months ago, I was at Costco and I bought one of those, I don't even know the brand, but I bought a weight bench. And my goal was to be able to just have the weight bench on the days when I couldn't go to my normal gym. It's been 3 months. That box is still sitting down here. I've not unpacked it. I've not had any desire to even set it up. So why? Why haven't I done that? Why haven't I done that? Is it because I don't want to work out here? I mean, I don't know what it is, but when I put it on this list and I realized that my intended outcome for creating this gym was to create a place for everybody in my family to get fit, it suddenly made sense to me. Like, Serena, you're creating a place for your family, your husband, to come down and lift weights. That's going to make him healthy. The kids, they're getting older. My boys are 16, 12, and 10. Well, not so much the 16-year-old, but the 12 and the 10-year-old, they're interested in lifting weights now. So my 12-year-old, he's doing push-ups in his room at night. I've got my 10-year-old who looks up to him. Now he's wanting to do push-ups and he'll come down and start lifting some dumbbells. So me creating this space is for everybody to get fit. So if I get this weight bench set up, it's going to lead me closer to having a place for my family to improve their health. That's a big why. That is a huge why. And all I need to do is open up the box and take probably less than an hour and set that bench up. So seeing that that's the next action that I need to take it's pretty phenomenal. It's pretty motivating. And so while I'm not done this book, the book that I was mentioning to you, the Getting Things Done, Stress-Free Productivity, I feel like I wanted to tell you about this week, because this is the thing that's been really kind of on my spirit. The fact that I wake up every day, or I have been waking up every day and not feeling like I was really motivated to do anything, because there were so many things that I felt that I had to do, right? Like I have to create this home gym, but is that my focus right now? Or am I trying to get this shed done? Well, I'm not doing anything in the shed because it's hot out there. So I just don't feel like doing anything in the shed. You know what I'm saying? So there's all these things that weigh on me, and you might be feeling the same way. Make your list. That's the project that you have for yourself that I'm going to give you right now, the homework. I'm sorry to add one more thing to your list. I'm sorry. But if you are feeling like me, where you're feeling this anxiety because you don't feel like you're getting things done, or you don't have a roadmap of what needs to get done and when and how do you prioritize, start here. I am going to share, as I'm listening to this book, I am going to share the things that I'm doing in order to move forward to the next step. Because the big project for me right now, I mean, the shed is always a big project, but the big project that I really want to get done is I want to make progress in putting together this Power Tools 101 course. You've heard me talk about this before. I want to create this course where people like you, who may have no experience or very little experience with power tools, I want to create an online course that I can help you feel comfortable and confident in being able to pick up a tool so that you can create these things for your house, for your friends, for your family, and feel that you know what you're doing, right? You've got the tools, you've got the knowledge, you know what to do safety-wise, and now you can move forward comfortably with, the 5 or 6, 7 tools that are most important for your DIY toolbox. That's what I want to do. So as I'm listening to the rest of this book, Getting Things Done, I'm listening to it with that mindset. How do I move that project forward? But whether it's that project, whether it's something smaller, like creating a basement home gym or doing the floor in my she shed, the framework that this guy is building out is something that's going to apply to any of these projects. But this was the first step. And I wanted to create this podcast for those people, if it's you, who's also feeling the anxiety of having so many things, and it's just an open loop. That's what he calls it. This author, David Allen, that's what he calls it. This open loop in your mind. If you've got all these open loops, find yourself a notebook, find yourself a Google document or an Excel file, Microsoft Word, whatever it is that you want to use. Create this document and get it all out into a document. And the thing is that now once you get it all down, you do have to you do have to review it. So once a week, for me, it's going to be Sundays, maybe even Saturdays. It just depends. But every week I'm going to sit down and review this list and see, okay, which of these things are important for me to focus on for the week. And then once I pick my 1 or 2 or maybe 3, just depends on the size of the project, then I can forget about everything else momentarily and just know it's not forgotten. It's in my list. I'm going to come back to it, but these are the few that I'm going to focus on for this week. How good does that feel? I have to tell you, I've been using this system now since he mentioned it in his book for the last week. And I'll be in there in the bathroom brushing my teeth and I'll think, oh, shoot, I forgot to do XYZ, or I need to make sure that I do XYZ. I will pull up my phone and pull up Google Drive and put it in there immediately. And when I do that, it feels so good because I know that it's not something I'm going to forget. I'm going to put it there, account for it, review it every week, and then figure out how to move forward, when to move forward. And I think that's the part that's coming up next, where he's going to show you how to pick and choose which ones you work on. And of course, it's going to depend on what's most important to you. What resources do you have available for you? And I'm kind of a nerd about this, but as I'm listening to the audiobook, I'm actually taking notes and I'm doing it in an outline, like an outline format, as if I'm in some college course. But as I'm writing it down, I'm paying attention. I'm focusing on everything that he's saying. And I'm excited to get this book completed so that I know how to move forward on all of these projects. Now, I will tell you, there's another book that I'm listening to, and you're going to think this is very strange, but I think it's a good contrast. So the book that I'm listening to at the same time as this other productivity book is a book called Do Nothing: How to Break Away from Overworking, Overdoing, and Underliving by Celeste Headlee. And this was another book that was in my Audible library. Somebody had mentioned it months and months ago, and I thought, oh, let me get this book. And while I just started that book, she's sort of building the case for how we got to this point where we feel like we have to be doing something every moment of the day. Because I can't talk about productivity without talking about, okay, we understand we need to be productive and get our projects done and be happy and all that. But what are the other things that make us happy? Are we really supposed to spend all of our time working on projects? Projects can be work related. Projects can be health related. They can be family related. And I think you also have to realize that sometimes it's okay to do nothing. And that's something that I'm still trying to be okay with, that there are times when I can do nothing, that it's okay to have a Sunday where you're just relaxing, right? Like I have a friend and it's his religious beliefs that Saturday is his Sabbath. He doesn't work on Saturday. It's all about family. And whatever it is for you, whether it's Wednesday you take off or whether it's Fridays, Mondays, if you can do that, or maybe it's Saturday or Sunday, I'm still working on that for myself. And it's difficult, but hopefully with reading this book, it'll create a good balance with the productivity, but making sure that I'm working smarter and not harder, because we don't have to work 24 hours a day in order to feel like we're making progress. But if we're doing the right things at the right time and focusing on the right projects, then we can take that time off on Saturdays or Sunday and just enjoy being with friends and family. Yesterday, my family and I, we went to the Montgomery County Fairgrounds here in Montgomery County, Maryland. It's this, the first word that came to my mind is expensive. Well, yes, it's very expensive, but it's this really cool agricultural fair that takes place once a year. And the last number of years we've attended, we've rode the rides, ate the food, and just had a really good day. And it's memories like that with your family that when you get to your deathbed, you're not going to worry about all those projects you did or didn't do. For the most part, you're not going to worry about those things. You're not going to think about oh my gosh, I didn't paint that bedroom furniture that I've been meaning to paint. You're not going to care about that. You're going to care about your family and the time that you have left. And did you leave a lasting impression on them with the legacy that you want to leave behind? Those are the things that are going to be important. What are the memories that I'm creating for my family? So I'm not going to feel guilty about taking a day off and spending, oh my gosh, I'm pretty sure it was about $200. It was insane. It was insane. To go to the county fair, we spent $200. Like, get out of here. But anyway, it was a good memory. We enjoyed ourselves. We had some so-so food. But it was a memory we can look back on and say, oh my gosh, remember when we rode that ride together? That was insane. So we can't be afraid to take time and spend with our family, but we also need to be productive too. And that's why I'm reading both of these books. So I'll leave a link down below. If you're interested in either of these books, you can find them on Amazon with my affiliate link, or you can get the Audible version. I love audiobooks, but you really do have to, sometimes you have to get the paper copy, like the Getting Things Done. I feel like I want to get the paper copy because I want to mark things off with highlighter and make notes in the edge of the pages. So maybe I wouldn't have to do like an entire outline of the book as I'm listening to it. But anyway, I will let you know. I'll report back on these two books and let you know how things go with the list of projects and all of that. But I'm going to invite you to do the same. Make a list of projects, whether it's personal, whether it's work-related, whatever it is, health-related. Make a list of projects, things that you want to achieve or focus on at some point. And then what is the intended outcome? And what is the next action step? What is the next thing that you have to do? And you might be just as amazed as I was at getting to that point where you realize, wait a minute, I really only have to do this one small thing in order to move this forward? Like, come on, I can do that. And seeing it all drafted out in front of you really makes you feel like you can do something about it. Because I can tell you that's how I felt when I made my list. And already I feel like I'm making some progress. Although in the last day, today's Sunday as I'm recording this, and I literally did nothing but just cook dinner. That's it. I worked on my puzzle and talked to my brother-in-law. And I'm getting comfortable with that idea of just having a day for me, just to relax. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And let me know, are you someone that struggles with this too? Do you always feel like you have to be doing something to move yourself forward in your projects? Do you feel that same anxiety because you don't feel that you're focused on enough things, or you don't know what to focus on, or you've got, like me, open loops just going around in your brain of all these things that you want and have to do, but you don't really know what to do? Let me know. Send me an email and tell me about your experience, Serena@thriftdiving.com, or you can hit me up on Instagram @thriftdiving. I want to hear from you. Do you experience this as well? And once you make your list, I want to know if that's actually going to help you, or if it is helping you to move forward on your projects, personal, business, health-wise, whatever. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me this week for episode 79 of the Thrift Diving Podcast. Be sure to come back next week. We'll have another great episode. And together, hopefully, we can improve our life, we can improve our home, and have fun doing it. Okay, I will talk to you next episode.